Dear participants, welcome to the University of Borås and this exciting symposium, Living Through Touch, Smart Haptic Communication for Inclusion, Accessibility and Participation. The symposium marked the near end of the SUITCYES project. The smart, user-friendly, interactive, textual, cognition enhancer that yields extended sensosphere project. The symposium will treat the general area of deafblindness, presenting SUITCYES results and committed activities with the aim to raise awareness and promote continued conversation and actions beyond the ending of the project. According to the plan, SUITCYES should have been completed in the last year, but depending on the situation with the COVID-19 pandemic, it will end this year. The overall objective with the project has been to improve the level of independence for and participation of people with deafblindness, and to enhance their communication, perception of environment, knowledge acquisition, and conduct of daily routines. Hopefully, the good work will continue. I sincerely hope that the important network created through the project will continue to develop and grow so that the understanding of the actual needs of people with deafblindness is improved. I sincerely hope that the prototypes generated through the project will be productified and will it find its way to the users. I also sincerely hope that policymakers throughout the world will be inspired by the work in this important project and actualize new laws and policies for people with deafblindness. Last but not least, I would like to recognize the partners of the project. They are University of Leeds, United Kingdom, Center of Research and Technology, Hellas, Greece, Offenburg, University of Applied Science, Germany, Eindhoven University of Technology, Netherlands, Les Doigts Courev, Fingers That Dream, a non-profit organization, France, Harpo SP, Limited Liability Company, Poland, and University of Borås here in Sweden. With that, I just want to say welcome and have a great symposium.
Hello, very nice to meet you all. My name is Matilda Ernkrans and I am the Swedish Minister for Higher Education, Research and Space. I have a special relationship to Borås and their long history of craftsmanship. For the Nobel Prize Awards in 2019, 2 students from University of Borås created and sewed the dress that I wore with the theme of sustainability. I was proud to wear that dress, and I am proud to hear that so many of you from all over the world has chosen to visit the university in Borås. The pandemic cannot stop our need to meet and try to find new solutions to our great societal challenges. To meet these challenges in the long run, I am certain that we need more knowledge, more collaboration, and more of education for a sustainable development. Even though Sweden is a small country in the north, we have world-leading research in many fields. Examples are found in such areas as material research, climate research, but also in several medical fields. Sweden is also one of the world's most innovative countries, with world-leading universities and colleges. Sweden has high ambitions for our digital development. Therefore, we need to collaborate broadly and work hard to advance and strengthen our efforts. One rapidly evolving field of digital technology is artificial intelligence. AI has the potential to contribute significant benefits in a variety of areas through increased economic growth, as well as solutions to environmental and societal challenges. Although AI is rapidly evolving, this doesn't mean that the benefits of AI will automatically be realized. For AI to best contribute to enhanced welfare and strengthen the Swedish competitiveness, Sweden must create and foster enabling conditions. It is important that Sweden can manage the challenges associated with AI, for instance, how to use it ethically, how to promote inclusiveness. Increasingly rapid technological and societal development will require a very strong relationship between research, higher education, and innovation in AI. Therefore, I am proud that the Swedish government in the recent Research and Innovation Bill is making substantial investments in research and innovation for artificial intelligence and new digital technologies. Let me conclude with my compliments to your research project. Today you will share and demonstrate the project's final results. This is very interesting and an important example on how user-centered research in AI and haptic in broad international collaboration can have a great societal impact and increase the social inclusion and equality in society. Your project will improve the quality of life for people with deaf blindness through intelligent haptic technologies. I think this is an impressive and very important approach towards a more inclusive society. We must show citizens that it is possible to meet a good part of our challenges with research and new knowledge. My firm belief is that our universities, our researchers and students have an important role in spreading their knowledge and innovative ideas. I wish you all very fruitful conversations and a continuous successful research using the core principles inclusion, participation, access and equal rights for all. Keep up your good work, keep a distance and stay safe. Thank you.
Good morning. Many thanks for the invitation to open this important symposium, and many thanks to all involved in the SUITCEYES project for the excellent and innovative work you've carried out for the past 3 and a bit years on the rather neglected topic of deaf blindness. I'm particularly pleased the project is reaching its climax now in 2021. It seems to me that COVID-19, for all the pain and suffering it has brought, has probably done more for raising awareness about accessibility and digital issues in the past 12 months than any government legislation or firm seeking shareholder value has achieved in the past decades. And that awareness of different needs, particularly given the extra push towards digitalization that COVID has given to both the public and the private sectors, coincides with the key ambition of this commission. So within her political guidelines, A Europe That Strives for More, which set out the European Commission's programme for the 5 years of its mandate, President von der Leyen stated her commitment to a union of equality, saying, "A prosperous and social Europe depends on us all. We need equality for all and equality in all of its senses." And in this commission, we have, therefore, for the first time ever, a commissioner whose sole responsibility is equality, Commissioner Helena Dalli. And in appointing Commissioner Dalli, President von der Leyen assigned to her the task of creating this union of equality. Now, the mandate of Commissioner Dalli explicitly states, your task over the next 5 years is to strengthen Europe's commitment to inclusion and equality in all of its senses, irrespective of sex, racial or ethnic origin, age, disability, sexual orientation, or religious belief. I want you to be active across the Union to raise awareness and promote equality. As part of this, you will lead the fight against discrimination wherever it exists and will propose new anti-discrimination legislation. You will lead on the EU's implementation of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, to which the European Union and all its member states are party. You will work closely with all commissioners to pursue this aim, including on external affairs. And this commission in its first 18 months or so has adopted a series of strategies and pieces of legislation to that end, including, most relevantly for today's discussions, the Union of Equality Strategy for the Rights of Persons with Disabilities 2021 to 2030, which was adopted in March this year. Now, the strategy targets improvements in accessibility as an enabler of rights, autonomy, and equality. And that means accessibility to both the built and the virtual environments, as an enabler of rights and as an absolutely essential prerequisite for the full participation of persons with disabilities on an equal basis with others. The strategy also targets allowing or helping persons with disabilities to enjoy their EU rights on an equal basis, and notably when moving to another member state or participating in political life. A decent quality of life, the chance to live independently with equal access and non-discrimination, including the right to protection from any form of discrimination or violence, are also central to the strategy. And the strategy doesn't just focus on the European Union as a land territory, but also seeks to promote the rights of persons with disabilities globally, showing EU values across the world, and also, importantly, leading by example ourselves as an institution. And so access to our buildings and our websites as the European Commission, our diversity and recruitment should all improve for persons with disabilities as we walk the talk. And the strategy, last but not least, seeks to support both member states and the EU institutions themselves in their endeavours to implement the UN CPRD. With this strategy, the Commission aims to further deliver significant improvements in all areas of the lives of persons with disabilities within the EU and beyond. If we accomplish the initiatives achieved in this strategy, we will contribute to reducing discrimination and inequality, and we will actively support persons with disabilities to fully enjoy their human rights, their fundamental freedoms, and their EU rights on an equal basis with others, so that by 2030 we can maximise their independence, their participation, and decent living conditions, with support, of course, from the European Pillar of Social Rights. So that's the framework for our actions on disability up to 2030. And that strategy was based on a formal evaluation of the previous 10-year strategy. That evaluation showed, well, as we know, there is clearly still room for improvement. The previous strategy had had a positive effect on EU rules and policies. And I'd like to highlight really two elements of that evaluation briefly. One was involving persons with disabilities and organisations representing them in the policy design of the strategy itself, which contributed to its positive results, notably in making sure that it was the issues that really matter to them that were placed high on the EU's agenda. And I know that SUITCEYES has embedded this practice in its work. And indeed, the programme of the symposium for the next 3 days features members of representatives of deafblind associations, and also the thoughts of a deaf-born, deafblind researcher. The evaluation also highlighted the positive impact of including disability issues specifically in EU legislation and policies, with the adoption of the European Accessibility Act, the Web Accessibility Directive, and legislation on the rights of passengers. So, as well as a reference to access for persons with disabilities in sectoral legislation, such as the Audiovisual Media Services Directive or the European Electronic Communications Code, the EU has adopted specific legislation directly supporting the rights of persons with disabilities. The Web Accessibility Directive targets public sector websites and mobile apps, all of which should be accessible as of next month. The complementary European Accessibility Act targets the most important products and services for persons with disabilities provided by the private sector, such as access to e-commerce, online banking, transport, e-books, emergency services, and other digital tools and services. And of course, we use funding to support cross-border research and innovation projects such as the Suitcase project.
Well, I've been a fan for a while because it's.
So I hope I've shown that this project and this event are firmly part of the Commission's vision and the Commission's commitment to a union of equality. I wish us all a very constructive, enlightening and successful symposium over the next 3 days. Thank you very much for your participation, and I wish us all a really interesting event.
So hello again, I'm back, Nasrine Olson. Like many of you, I'm attending this event from home. My background shows the corner of a room with a bookshelf and more books on a bureau and some pictures on the walls and a logo of the project Suitcase. So now I take a few moments to tell you first about the project Suitcase and then explain about the different sessions in the symposium. I will share my screen now. I hope that you can see it. Give me just one moment. So looking at the registration list, I know that some of you are quite familiar with the project Suitcase, but it's really nice to see that there are many here that are new to the project. So it is in place that I tell you, give you a short background about the project before I tell you why we are having this symposium and give you an overview of what you can expect over the next 3 days. So I start with Suitcase. So Suitcase is a Horizon 2020 research and innovation action which started on 1st of January 2018. We were meant to finish at the end of December 2020, but as the Vice Chancellor mentioned, due to the pandemic, we received an extension, and now the project will conclude at the end of June this year. If you're wondering what is why this name and why do we spell it this way, you can talk to me in the mingle afterwards and I can tell you more. Again, as the Vice Chancellor mentioned, Suitcase has been a collaboration between 7 academic partners, 7 academic and non-academic partners from 7 European countries, including University of Borås, Sweden, Center for Research and Technology, Hellas, Greece, University of Offenburg, Germany, University of Leeds, United Kingdom, Eindhoven University of Technology, Netherlands, Lowery-Kingston, France, and Harpo in Poland. So the core of Suitcase project has been to develop haptic communication technologies for people with deaf blindness. But what does deaf blindness mean? We have adopted the Nordic definition of this term in the project that defines deaf blindness as a combined vision and hearing impairment of such severity that it is hard for the impaired senses to compensate for each other. Thus, deaf blindness is a distinct disability. So many of you here today do not need an introduction, but for those of you who don't know, there is a great diversity in deaf blindness from some residual sight and hearing at one end and profound loss of both sight and hearing at the other. Deaf blindness can be congenital or acquired through illness, accident, or age. When it comes to the numbers, unfortunately, it's very difficult to have accurate statistics on the number of people who live with deaf blindness. There are some estimation, but they too vary quite a lot. We can only go by the published reports that we find. For example, according to a report by the World Federation of the Deafblind, the estimation is between 0.2% to 2% of the world population. In another report, which was produced in a project funded by the European Commission, in that one, the number of the people with deaf blindness only within Europe have been estimated to be well over 2.5 million. And with the rising, with the aging population, these numbers are estimated to rise further in the coming years. Despite these numbers, the needs and the life circumstances of these members of the society are often overlooked. But of course, if we look at the Universal Declaration of Human Rights or the Charter of Fundamental Rights of the European Union or the Convention of the Rights of Persons with Deaf Blindness, basic human rights for all, including people with disabilities, are proclaimed by all of these. These rights include full and equal enjoyment of all human rights and fundamental freedoms by all persons with disabilities, the right to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media, the right to education, the right to freely participate in cultural life and to enjoy the arts, the right to access on an equal basis with others to information and communication, including information and communication technologies and systems. However, in practice, while the rights of many of us are catered for, this is not the case for all. When we talk about equal rights for all, we need to ask ourselves, do we really mean all members of the society or not? When it comes to the views of disability, in SUITCEYES, we have adopted the social model as opposed to the medical model. In the medical model, problem lies with the person with disability in need of being fixed. In the social model, disability is seen to be caused by the ways in which society is organized. So we often privilege the right and needs of some members of the society and overlook the others. Most things that we design and build are, and even structure, take sight and hearing for granted. But the reality is that we are all different and have different abilities and needs. If we are fair, people with deaf blindness are not the odd one out. Every single one of us has his or her own peculiarities. So we need improved information technologies and knowledge infrastructure for accessibility, inclusion, and participation to truly serve all of us and not just most of us. So based on those thoughts, the overall objective of the SUITCEYES has been to take a small step towards improving the level of independence and participation of people with deaf blindness and to enhance their communication, perception of the environment, knowledge acquisition, and conduct of daily routines. For that, SUITCEYES has tried to address 3 different challenges: perception of the environment, communication and exchange of semantic content, and joyful learning and life experiences. This means that we have explored sensor technologies and computer vision to capture environmental cues. Then we have tried to find a way of communicating this information to users. And finally, we have tried to find a fun way of interacting with our system, both for educational purposes, but also to just create some fun and recreation. In the sessions that will follow today, we will present some of our results related to these areas. So how has this become possible? Well, we have brought together expertise from various research areas, including user and disability studies, sensor technology, computer vision, image processing, face, object, and scene detection and recognition, semantics and ontology, gamification, smart textiles, and policy studies. And our collective efforts have resulted to a number of prototypes or perhaps proofs of concepts that we call haptic intelligent interfaces, or HIPI for short. So we have now been at it for over 3 years, but have we managed to achieve anything? Well, we have conducted quite a lot of research, some of which will be presented today, not all of it. In addition to what is presented today, we have also conducted 81 interviews in 5 European countries, which contributed with a lot of interesting insights. We also conducted extensive policy studies that you will hear more about on Wednesday. And we have also published quite a lot on what we have done in our research. You can find our publications on the website, the project website. We have also built a broad network and in many different areas with the community of people with deaf blindness, with national agencies and other organizations interested in issues of deaf blindness, with those working with assistive technologies and developing them or researching them, decision makers, policy makers, and general public for raising awareness. And there have been some spin-off ideas already taking shape. And we have organized a lot of outreach activities, such as this symposium, through which we hope that we have raised awareness about issues of deaf blindness. And it is not easy to measure how far we have come, but we have been impressed quite often and in many different countries and languages. And when it comes, for example, in Sweden, a national radio program had a documentary about the project. And in fact, we found some programs that are talking about our project without us even knowing about them. So I tell you a little bit about the symposium. We have over 60 participants, speakers, and panelists in the program, and they are from around 15 different countries. We have, by the last count that I looked at, there were 402 participants registered for the symposium, and they were from 39 different countries. You might recognize your own country among the list of the people here. And you might recognize that except for the English-speaking countries, the next highest number were from Brazil. And that's why we also have Brazilian Sign Language right now. And the symposium is organized in 3 different days. Today is mainly about the project results that we have organized them in different sessions. Now we are having the opening, then we have the sensing part of the project, psychophysics and haptics and how we perceive. Next session, then we talk about how we communicate the information to the user. We have sessions on gamification, and also the variables in the project. Then we don't want to leave the project as it is and finish. We are hoping to initiate interest for continued conversation afterwards. So tomorrow we are dedicating the day first to other research which are related to our project, so we can exchange ideas and perhaps build on each other's work. Then we have a networking session where we have representations from Deafblind International, European Deafblind Union, and SENSE. And then the rest of the sessions tomorrow will be about bridging the gap, so that when we finish the research, we produce some proofs of concepts or prototypes, and they need to become products that can be usable, and there are steps between end of research and a ready product. So we talk about the issues there and how we can speed up the process and improve what we have produced in the project. Then finally, on Wednesday, we first present the result of our policy studies and have a conversation about related issues and policies with both local, national, and European level colleagues. And then the final part of the symposium will be looking towards the future and beyond the suitcase. And then we have 3 sessions, one with participants with deafblindness, and another one with the advisors that have advised the project us throughout these 3 years. And finally, what we have learned and what we can be doing, a conversation with the project members. Just quickly about the structure of the sessions. We have every day, it's from 12 to 18 of Central European time. There are 6 sessions in every day. Each session is exactly 45 minutes with 5 minutes of, so 40 minutes or thereabouts talking and 5 minutes for question answers. And there will be 15 minutes break between each session. You can write your questions and a moderator will read them for the participants to answer. These 15-minute breaks are very important, especially to give our colleagues who are interpreting for us the well-needed rest. The sessions will be recorded. If you wish, you can stay on after the end of the day and we can communicate and have a mingle afterwards. And a few reminders. Please, everyone, add your full name in Zoom so people, and especially our interpreters who know who is speaking. When speaking, please give your name and affiliation. And like me, if you have a background that needs to be talked about. Do not speak too fast. And please, you can start introducing yourself in the chat so that all the other participants get to know you and we can communicate there as well. And link to the full program will be provided in the chat, as well as some other help and guideline that we might need. So there have been many people involved in organizing these sessions, and it has taken quite a long time. The Suitcase project, I would like to acknowledge that it's funded by the European Union's Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation program. The symposium has also received financial support from SUITCYES to make the Brazilian Sign Language interpretation possible. We have had very good intentions and wanted to make this as accessible as possible, but of course there isn't any funds for this type of things. So we had to make do with what's possible. And I know that we have made the transcription by Zoom available, but it's not very good. And sometimes it can write some strange things. So you might have a laugh and we hopefully can fix it afterwards. But please bear with us if there are any technical problems or other issues, and we solve them together. So very nice having you all here, very welcome, and thank you for being here, and I hope that we will have a good symposium together. So if you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to write them in the chat. And then we will have a pause and we will come back for the actual presentations in the afternoon sessions. I have some colleagues of mine, if there are any questions that have been raised that we need to answer, please read them loud. And if any of you, my colleagues, have any reminders that I have forgotten to mention in my talk, please feel free to come and tell the participants what we should be doing. If not, then please have a little break, and every session will start at the hour. So we will be coming back here and starting with the next session in the I have some messages here. Let me see. Yes, one of Sanya has got a question. Please go ahead, Sanya.
Will we be able to download the transcript and the recorded sessions that are at stake here at the moment?
When it comes to the live transcripts, you can actually choose the option for view full transcript. And if you do that, on top of your screen at the top, you will see a arrow down. And if you press on that, you can see an option for pop out. And if you pop out, it will become a document that I hope you can read. If not, we will be recording them and hopefully we can make them available afterwards. What is nice in this pop out is that you can see who is saying what, but if when it's recorded, the names are not recorded, which will be a problem to add them.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we leave? In that case, thank you, everyone. Thank you, our interpreters, and we will see you at 1 o'clock Central European time.